The room fell into silence as his parents slid a contract across the table and said firmly, "Sign this, everything you own now belongs to the family." My husband smirked, leaning in. "It's just a formality, babe." I casually leaned back, a smile playing on my lips. "In that case, you're going to love what's in my safe deposit box." Their expressions contorted with panic just as the lawyer stepped into the room. The air turned thick, a stew of suspicion and dread. Daniel's smirk twitched, his hazel eyes flickering with unease as they darted between me and his parents. Evelyn, his mother, gripped the table's edge, her crimson nails digging into the polished mahogany like claws. Richard, his father, tugged at his tie, a nervous tic I'd clocked years ago, his broad shoulders hunching slightly. They'd always carried themselves like they owned the world, but now they looked like gamblers who'd bet too big and lost. The lawyer, Mr. Grayson, stood in the doorway, his silver hair glinting under the chandelier, his briefcase a quiet harbinger of chaos. Let me rewind a bit, because this wasn't some spontaneous showdown. Daniel Harper and I met 9 years ago at a swanky fundraiser, me in a thrift store dress I'd doctored to look expensive, him in a bespoke suit that screamed privilege. He was 31, charming as hell, with a grin that could melt ice and a way of making you feel like the only person in the room. I was 28, Lauren Kessler then, a graphic designer who'd clawed her way out of a crumbling apartment block and a childhood of ramen dinners with my single mom. He was the golden boy of the Harper Empire, real estate tycoons who owned half the city's high-rises and a chunk of its soul. We married 3 years later, a whirlwind I mistook for love but later saw as a chess move. Evelyn and Richard were the grandmasters. Evelyn, 60, was a former beauty queen turned ice queen, her smile a weapon she wielded with precision. She'd welcomed me with designer handbags and backhanded compliments about my simple charm, but her eyes always appraised me like a pawn to be sacrificed. Richard, 65, was a bulldozer of a man, gruff and imposing, with a voice that rumbled like gravel. He'd built Harper Holdings from the ground up, or so he claimed, though whispers suggested shadier origins. They'd groomed Daniel to inherit their legacy, but he leaned on their wealth and his charm, lacking their cold ambition. For years, I'd played the good wife, hosting their galas, nodding through their digs about my roots, while building my design firm, Kessler Creative, into a 6-figure success. They thought I'd handed it over to Daniel out of devotion. They were dead wrong. Back to the moment. Mr. Grayson set his briefcase down with a soft thud, popping the latches like a judge's gavel. "Mrs. Harper," he said, nodding at me, his voice smooth as slate, "I assume you're ready to proceed?" "Absolutely," I replied, keeping it light, almost playful. I crossed my legs and fixed Daniel with a look. "You didn't think I'd come unprepared, did you?" He laughed, sharp and hollow. "Come on, Lauren, don't be dramatic. This is just business. Family business." "Funny," I said, tilting my head. "I don't recall being invited to the family meetings where you planned to strip me of everything I built." Evelyn's lips parted, but nothing came out. Richard cleared his throat, gruff as ever. "Let's not exaggerate. This is about unity, Lauren. Protecting what's ours." "What's yours?" I corrected, my smile sharpening. "I don't confuse love with ownership." Grayson pulled a thick envelope from his briefcase. "Mrs. Harper asked me to review the contract your family prepared," he said, eyeing Daniel's parents. "And I have concerns." Daniel shifted, his smirk gone, jaw tight. "Concerns? What's that mean?" "It means," Grayson said, unflinching, "this document assumes Mrs. Harper has no assets to leverage. An oversight." Evelyn paled. Richard's hands clenched. "What are you implying?" he growled. "I'm not implying," I said, standing and smoothing my skirt. "I'm telling you. That safe deposit box? It's not trinkets. It's leverage, documents, recordings, pieces of your puzzle you thought I'd never solve." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" I stepped closer, close enough to see the doubt in his gaze. "You've underestimated me for years, Danny. You and your parents thought I'd sign away my life because I loved you. Love doesn't make me stupid. Silence fell, broken only by Grayson laying out papers, bank records, emails, photos from a PI I'd hired 8 months back. Enough to shred their formality. So, I said, glancing at each of them, shall we negotiate? Evelyn recovered first, her voice icy. You think you can blackmail us? Not blackmail, I said. Insurance. You want my signature? I want guarantees. Richard slammed a fist on the table. This is absurd. We've given you everything. Everything? I laughed, bitter and bright. My firm's profits funded your last 3 projects. Check Grayson's records. Daniel stood, looming over me. You're making a mistake, Lauren. No, I said, meeting his glare. You did, thinking I wouldn't fight. Grayson cleared his throat. There's more. The safe deposit box contains evidence of irregularities in Harper Holdings' finances. Tax evasion, for starters. The room froze. Evelyn's hand trembled, Richard's face reddened. Daniel stared at me like I'd grown horns. How long? He asked, voice low. How long have you been plotting this? Long enough, I said. You should have paid attention. Evelyn lunged for the papers, but Grayson pulled them back. I'd advise against that. Copies exist elsewhere. Where? Richard barked. I smiled. Safe places. Plural. A knock at the door broke the standoff. Everyone turned as my sister, Mia, stepped in, dark hair tied back, laptop under her arm. Sorry I'm late, she said, grinning at me. Traffic. Daniel blinked. Who the hell is she? My sister, I said. And your worst nightmare. Mia set her laptop down, opened it, and projected a spreadsheet onto the wall, rows of numbers, dates, transactions. This is what you've been hiding, she said. And this, she clicked to a new tab, is what the feds will see if Lauren doesn't get what she wants. Evelyn gasped. Richard roared, this is extortion. No, I said, calm as ever. Justice. Sign the new terms, my firm stays mine, plus 20% of Harper Holdings, or we walk, and you face the consequences. Daniel grabbed my arm. You won't get away with this. I yanked free, staring him down. Watch me. Here's where it twists harder. Mia wasn't just my ace, she'd been infiltrating their network for months, posing as a freelance auditor they'd hired to clean their books. They'd never suspected the quiet, mousy woman with glasses was my blood, feeding me every dirty secret. But there was more I hadn't told them yet. Grayson nodded at Mia, and she pulled up another file, a video. The screen flickered to life, showing Daniel in a penthouse I didn't recognize, laughing with a woman I'd never met. She was blonde, leggy, draped in jewelry I hadn't bought. The timestamp, 3 months ago. Daniel's face went slack. Lauren, Save it, I snapped. Your mistress isn't the twist. This is. Mia zoomed in on a painting in the background, an original Matisse, one Richard had bragged about owning. Except it had been stolen 2 years ago, claimed on insurance for millions. Richard sputtered. That's impossible. Is it? I said. Or did you stage the theft to fund your little side ventures? Evelyn stood, trembling. You have no proof. Except I do, I said. The PI traced it. It's sitting in your mistress's apartment, Danny. How's that for family unity? The room erupted, Richard shouting, Evelyn shrieking, Daniel pleading. Grayson raised a hand. There's one more thing. He slid a photo across the table, a grainy shot of Richard shaking hands with a man in a dark alley. Recognize him? Grayson asked. That's Victor Russo, indicted last year for money laundering. Your silent partner. Richard froze. This is a setup. No, I said. It's a reckoning. You've been bleeding this city dry, and I'm done being your pawn. Mia packed up her laptop. The feds are a call away. Your move. Daniel sank into his chair, defeated. Evelyn whispered, "What do you want?" "Everything," I said. "My firm, my freedom, and half of Harper Holdings. Or I burn it all down." Richard glared, but his fight was gone. "Fine," he rasped. "Draw it up." Grayson smiled faintly. "Already done." As they signed, I felt the weight lift, not just of this moment, but of years playing their game. I'd won. For now.